a lot of us intuitively know the importance of trust. We know what good, trusting relationships feels like. The problem, though, is that very rarely do we understand how to build trust. What's the system? What's the operations? What's the framework to be able to build trust across our teams? If the world is going to continue to get uncertain, do we want people running for the exits when uncertainty hits, or do we want people running for each other and helping each other out? This is the power of a trusting relationship. Now, I'm a Canadian through and through, so I'm not a huge National Football League fan, but I am a fan of the leadership of this gentleman. His name's Kevin Stefanski. He's in the orange tie. And a few years ago, he was awarded a bit of a promotion, okay? He was promoted to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns football team. And the way I see it, Stefanski had 3 strikes against him, okay? The first strike is that when he was assigned to be the head coach, he had never been a head coach before. He was a rookie head coach, a pioneer, a trailblazer in his own right. The second strike, for those of you that know, is indeed the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are horrible, like really bad. Like 9 of the last 10 years, they were dead last in their division, okay? In 2017, they didn't even win a single game. And when they finally won a game in 2018, the city threw them a parade. I don't know if they're mocking them or celebrating them at this point, but they're not a good team, okay? Now, the third strike against Stefanski is that he was promoted to be the head coach in the first wave of the pandemic. So not only could he not bring his team together to work on drills and fundamentals in place, he couldn't even have them in the same room. So what was Stefanski, this rookie coach on a losing team in the first wave of the pandemic, what was he going to do to bring his team together and turn them around so that finally they could be a winning football team? Well, he knew the importance of trust, communication, collaboration, psychological safety. He knew that he had to get his team talking to each other. And not to just see them as players, but to see them as people. He didn't want them to see him as a leader or as coach. He wanted them to see him as Kevin. So he got his team together over Teams and over Zoom. We're talking 55 grown macho men. He said, fellas, I want to try an exercise with you. I call it the 4-H drill, which, by the way, we can all use the 4-H drill in our teams as well. He said, I want to share with you my heroes, my heartbreaks, my hopes, and my histories. Now, you might think that his heroes were legendary coaches in the NFL, and that's not true. His heroes were his parents, and he shared with his team all of the incredible sacrifices that his parents made to give him the opportunities that he has today. He said, I want you to know who I am as Kevin, not as coach. And he shared with his team his heartbreak. He shared how he had this heartbreak in high school. I think a lot of us know that feeling. That heartbreak in high school that just shattered him. Had him playing that emo music up in his room far too loud, right? We've all been there before. Anyways, he said, this heartbreak, it pushed me into football. It gave me that grit, that resilience, that tenacity, that work ethic, all the characteristics and traits that I'm most proud of today. He said that heartbreak actually pushed me to meet the wife that I have today and the 3 kids. Fellas, that heartbreak was the best thing that ever happened to me. And as he shared more and more, you could almost see the defensive walls of his team start to come down. They went from arms crossed to like leaning in just a little bit more. He shared what his hopes were. Not to win the Super Bowl, that's an obvious one. He shared what his hopes were for his family, for his kids, for the city, for the country. He shared what he believed in. And then he shared his history, not his football history. He shared his first rock concert that he went to. He shared all of the things that made him uniquely him, his favorite restaurants, his favorite types of food, all of the things that were just uniquely Kevin. Now, I know that a lot of us are in leadership positions. We have a lot of roles, a lot of responsibilities, a lot of deadlines, a lot of huge weight that's on our shoulder that requires us to delegate, requires us to get help to do it, requires us to utilize the teams that we've worked so hard to build. But it's tough to pass along this responsibility when you don't know who you're passing it along to. At the end of the day, it's probably your name on the piece of paper, on the email, or on the report that goes out to the person at the end of the week. And I found that the more we can learn about the people around us, the more we'll be able to trust them too.